Woo, my turn to speak. Guys, dessert is served, it's a tart. I need more time to speak. Enjoyed. I had to stop for a second. And I use a lot of things as coping tools and, for my triggers. I lose laughter and humor and I have thousands and actually millions of kids that follow me, all right? Because I want to choose to be that role model to them and not just influencer. I want to be influential. I want to change their narrative of who they are and what they think of themselves. And as myself, I also have PTSD, and I've been very open about that. And being here with dog tags and here in Montana, the first year, second year, and now this year, someone said, how does it feel to come back to Montana? And I said, what do you mean, come back home? This is home, and I mean that. I don't talk about my story, I don't tell my story and the things that happen to me and how it goes because they're part of a story. This has a bigger picture. And me being right here, right now, because I'll use the word as an underdog. And I considered dog tag buddies as an underdog only because it's in Montana. I'm like, who's in Montana? Who's going to Montana? What's in Montana? I joke a lot, like, is there any black people in Montana? You got it. So, it's funny, when I came to Montana, I fell in love with Montana. I fell in love with the people, the energy, the culture of being relaxed, living in DC and LA, and then, of course, it was cause-based. Dog tags. I trained service dogs when I was getting out of the military. I was medically retired. I was Iraq, Afghanistan, got blown up in 9/11 in the Pentagon. I had so many triggers, but as people say, as anybody in the military, you'll know, it's like, I just deal with it. Don't worry about it. It'll go away. It doesn't go away. It never goes away. Even through all the laughter and all of the things that you do, and you see me every day in front of tens of thousands of people on TV shows and talking on stations and radios, and I've got 4 or 5 TV shows now, and they mean absolutely nothing. They mean nothing, but when I do them, I can spread more energy, and I can narrate them the way I want to narrate them. So I decided when I started doing this, from sitting on a couch for a year straight in the same spot every day, having those ideations going through my head, working for the most powerful people in the world, and being afraid to say anything. So the first year when I came to Dog Tag Buddies, my team, which I had a team, I fired them after this, said, why are you going to Montana? What's the reason? What's the what? And I said, what? You part of my team, as Dee Dee said, and she praised her team, that's never a question you're gonna ask me, ever. If you wanna be part of me, you have to be part of me. You have to know what my cause and my worths are. Dee Dee said to me earlier today, someone said to her, well, what if Chef Russ doesn't decide to come back? And I'm like, come back home? What are you talking about, Dee Dee? I don't get this. Who are these people talking? Tell them it's okay. I'm home. And what Dog Tag Buddies, what they do, of course, with the service animals, the veterans that's behind it, which I've met so many amazing people for the last 3 years here. I mean, each and every last one of you guys, I'm humbled by. And I can go on and on about this. They change lives. They save lives. Not just the veteran, but future, their legacy, the that goes on. As he said, if it wasn't for Dog Tech Buddies, he wouldn't be here right now. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be here right now. It's the most important part. You have to understand that. It's not about the donations and the things that's going to part of it, which, like I said, it is, but you got to think about the bigger picture. Me donating my time, I'm paying my team to be here because that's how important it is to be here, to understand that. I get business, and then, like you guys do, but there's always going to be something much bigger and deeper. I'm going to end this, and I'm going to say this because I can go on and on about it, but I heard so many people talk tonight. I had in the conversations back here and just walking through the streets and people stopping their cars and rolling down their windows saying, "That's the best chef in the world right there." And I said, "Yeah, you're right." I don't know who you are, but I appreciate you. But you know what's crazy about that? The light was green, and he stood there for about 60 seconds saying that, and cars were behind. They didn't honk. They didn't honk. I said, I am not in L.A. I love that. It's a couple things up that we auction off and so forth, and I gave you guys one thing. I gave it to them. It's around my neck. It's a challenge coin. Challenge coin, I said, normally you would never auction off a challenge coin. You don't sell challenge coins. They have so much history with the military and so forth. And I want to tell you this quick story really quick before I do this and I leave and go back down and eat my tart. I lost one of my soldiers over a challenge coin. Just because someone may be in charge, or just because they may be the head of something, doesn't always mean they're right. My soldier, Wesley Durden, was a young guy, E5, and he had been through one of the most traumatic things I'd ever heard when he was on compassionate reassignment. And I didn't notice at the time. I just grabbed him. I said, "I'm going to make you the best you are. I'm going to work you to death, and I'm going to do this, this, and this, and this." And he said, "Well, okay." Married, 2 kids at Fort Bragg. I was at West Point at the time. I brought him in. Long story short, I worked him, like I said, hard. A month later, he came out and he told me his story of why he was there. He was crying, and he just said he wanted to say thank you. Fast forward, 6 months later, he was going to therapy, and he found out what happened to him while he was in Iraq. Something bad happened to him and to his wife and his kids. Another person, I was with a general, another person, the superintendent actually, I'll say that, came in and I said, "Hey, this happened to him." The second superintendent came in and he said, "Okay, I'll talk to my wife about that." I said, "That doesn't make any sense to me." Since that didn't make sense to me, I knew he wouldn't make sense to me. I don't care what position you're in or what you've done, is what you're doing, especially when you have soldiers. Long story short was, he came back on orders to go to the same location that happened to him. And I went to the general and I begged, knowing that he didn't like me and I wasn't so comfortable with him, and I begged him, "Don't let him go back there." And he looked at me and he said, "Bring him to me." Brought him to him and said, "God, thank you." He comes out and he's smiling, and I said, "Great." I said, "You get to stay." And he said, "No." I said, "So why are you smiling?" And he said, "Because he gave me this amazing coin." It was a challenge coin, same one around my neck. And I slapped it out of his hand. And he looked at me in shock, and I didn't realize he was a young soldier. To that, it meant everything. Now, challenge coins went from giving it to people of worth and value to become a trading item, or this high-level person gives it to that high-level person, and they just trade it off. So he left, and I got him on a TV show, The Next Great Baker. Couple months later, he's gone. Actually, not even a couple months, it was a month later, he was gone. He left. And so what I did was, when I said if I ever got an opportunity, I'm gonna do something and not just talk about it. I'm going to be about it. I'm gonna do everything in my power. I don't care how long, how much, how dedicated. I am going to change something. I didn't know what that something was or how it looked. I had no idea whatsoever. I didn't know that I would go from 2,000 people to 14 million people, be on TV shows, write books, and be able to speak at the White House for USO, USAA, for Dog Tag Buddies, for all these people, and reach across nations. But what I did do was, for every military person, I wanted to put them in front. So I got challenge coins. This one was dedicated to my mother, my first one. And I spent about $30,000 on challenge coins, giving them to people, veterans, that are worth it. Made some for little kids as well, and say, you can do anything, never give up, keep going. So, with my last challenge coin, which is gonna be given away today, it says, every day is day one. It's you against you. And most importantly, you wake up, you won. People forget about that. We take life for granted. We should be grateful. We should be humble. We should be relevant and secure. We gotta think about not only ourselves, but who we will impact, whether it be your family, your kids, your neighbors, strangers. Treat everybody the same. And of course, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, even Space Force. I know where that came from. But I digress. I'm joking, Space Force. I know you're not in here. Also, inspire the world, mental health, and kids first. So I am going to do something I've never done and have Dee Dee auction one of these coins. It's bigger than my bicep. That's a hint to say it's Bitcoin. But also to say that when I say it's a challenge and you only give it to people that's worth it, you're worth it. And so I want to give this and say because you're doing something that's helping so many others. And it's important to me. With that said, I'm gonna stop, but I'm gonna show you how this is done when you're giving it to, I know all the military goes, but knows how what happens is, but the people in some civilians, they may not know. So what happens is, where's the dog with the pretty hair? With your pretty hair, could you bring your vet up, please? So, smaller guy in the room. It's okay. He'll be all right. But honestly, you know, I've heard so many people speak, and the last time I've cried tears was last night. And maybe a week before that, and maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow. And it doesn't mean that I'm sad or that I'm upset or depressed or whatever, and maybe it does. But it also means that I'm alive, that I need to go and speak to someone. Like the young lady said about speaking to her husband. You need to reach out and do something, say something. And Dog Tag Buddies is saying everything without you saying a word. So when you do this, it goes, thank you for your service. And thank you guys for your service.
I can't tell you how honored I am to have Chef Rush keep coming back for us. Chef, your words, your actions, your being is everything that embodies what Dog Tag Buddies is, and I can't thank you enough from the bottom of my heart for coming here and being a part of this for the last 3 years and going forward. Thank you.